thought it at the time, but and said I didn't think it would be the right mix. But when I look now and think what's going on, it's really worrying. And if they don't win the Europa League, that means he won't have the players that he wants next season, which means they might not get in the Champions League again, which means it could just literally kick it on for another 2 or 3 years. It really is a worry. It's a big. I'm genuinely. I said it last week. I've got a sickly feeling about this game next Wednesday. A sickly feeling. And the biggest reason I've got a sickly feeling is when I look at every single player in the Tottenham team and Maddison. I like Maddison, so I don't want him not to be available. But when you look at Kulusevski, Son, Brennan Johnson, Solanke, if Maddison was there, Basuma and Sarr, Romero and Van der Ven, Porro and Udogie.
He's just gone through the teams who were 16th and 17th in the league.
No.
And you think, honest to God, you think they're the two best teams in the country?
No, Cara, when you look at those players, like for like with United's, only Bruno, in my opinion, would get into the first 11 of Spurs. I would select every single Tottenham player. I said this earlier in the season. The goalkeeper is a 50-50 split, 'cause I don't like Vicario, I'm not a fan of Onana. But honestly, Udogie, Porro, Van der Ven, Romero, Basuma, Sarr, Johnson, Maddison, Solanke, Kulusevski, Son, I would choose every single player of Tottenham's over Manchester United's next Wednesday night. That's my worry.
Casemiro's a man on a mission, though. He don't let us lose.
No, but just the United have got a couple of players.
He's on a mission for that 500 quid a week. That's what he's.
No, Adam, do you know something? That's the one thing that keeps me alive. The likes of a Casemiro, a Bruno, they've got something in them that will step up for a one-off game that means that I think we will win. But if the players play like as they should do, pound for pound they play, Tottenham should win that game.
Flav?
Yeah, I think
you're in agreement with that?
Yeah, 100%. This is the most confident I've been going into a big game like this in a long while. And I think a lot of it's based on all
music to my ears.
You got. I mean, what is it, man?
He was told the other week that Tottenham had no chance in hell of winning, weren't you? The other week on air, Jamie
did.
No, I don't see Tottenham. Exactly what Gary said. I do think Tottenham have got better players than Man United, but I remember when Liverpool played the Champions League final against Tottenham. And the teams at the time were probably not too far away from each other. Yeah. But just when I can imagine the Man United fans there on mass, similar to Liverpool, that mentality of we're supposed to be here, the supporters think they're going to win, the players think they're going to win.
It's a mentality, isn't it?
It's a mentality thing. Okay, here's an example. I think if Man United went 1-0 in front, I don't see how you'd find anything to come back, whereas they could come back. I think even if they went 1-0 down, someone would do something would happen. When you're watching Man United play, that Lyon game, it was Lyon, wasn't it? You're not doing that.
Well, you have done that. We've done it on a bigger stage than that.
You're talking about the Ajax game?
Well, sorry.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, what did you think?
He got battered for 2 games and scored 2.
We have done it. We have done it.
And you're the team that basically bottle every big game I've ever seen you play.
Well, this is where it changes.
I hope it does.
Jamie,
I hope it does.
It took Brentford 12 playoff attempts.
Just compared Spurs to Brentford.
To get qualified from the Championship. It took 12 times. Everyone thought they're perennial losers, they'll never do it. And then they did it, and look where they are now. So the reason why I'm confident going into this game, and I guess it's 90 minutes, anybody can win it, right? It's all of the conversation we've just had about Manchester United. Amorim's going into that dressing room going, boys, we need to win this game because I need to get rid of half of you. In our dressing room, they're going, we need to win this game because this is
to get rid of you.
The first major trophy. He knows he's out the door. The players...
Is he gone, even if they win?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't think there's a world where you can keep him. But we've been having this conversation since November. I think he is. But interestingly, you talked about Romero and Van der Ven and in that side, and the fact that they get into the Man United side. When you've had them available to us, the average points per game is around, I think it's like 1.9, which would put us in 4th position when they've been available. When they're not available is a completely different side. The fact that they've kind of engineered it, and Postecoglou has engineered it so that we have really 2 amazing centre-backs available for this game, well up for it. I think we're going to surprise a few people. I think it's going to be quite comfortable.
Van der Ven's hand-free goals first half.
I have no logical reason why United should win it other than recent experience and history.
Yeah, I agree.
But can I ask a question? That's like history. It's bullshit, right?
No, it's not bullshit.
Games.
But why?
Look at Real Madrid.
You never win anything.
Look at Real Madrid in the last 5 years.
It's only the
They've
last.
not been a great team at times, have they? But that history just takes them to it. Now, realistically, they should win the game. They beat us the last 3 games.
Should win.
A lot better.
We haven't lost since 2022, so none of that counts.
And you know what? I think you'll be the best team on the night, and I think you'll probably play really well, but we'll win. We seem to find 10 or 15-minute spells where we win games.
That's my
And I think that's what'll happen.
And it's not a history, by the way. It's about a club mentality, really. Because history sounds like it's sort of nostalgic. It's not. It's a mentality of a club and a fan base that think they are going there, and we're not coming out of this city until we've won. Now, that can change. We know that could look stupid next Wednesday, because you should, I think, on talent on the pitch, you've got better forwards, you've got better centre halves, you've got better midfield players, other than Bruno, and you should win that game. You've beat us the last 3 times, you've got a great record against us, because you're a better team than us. And I unfortunately have to say that.
He's getting into your head, isn't he?
However, no, I'm not.
No,
I can feel a mind game starting.
I'm sitting there thinking,
It is a mental, but Newcastle the big surprise this season you should look at most was what Newcastle did against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, because that was a big shock to me. I thought that morning, I am not seeing. I said to you before the game, Virgil van Dijk will lift this trophy. He 100% will lift this trophy. I was amazed at how Newcastle did. So what you're saying about, and actually they actually beat Liverpool really well on the day.
Yeah.
Played really well. Yeah. What you're saying is that Tottenham are just going to go and win so easily.
No.
If it's a football match without any of the other sort of things, you probably would.
I don't think we're going to win easily. That was a bit tongue-in-cheek. But I just think if it's about energy and motivation. And it just, Man United, based on what Amorim has been saying, doesn't define us. We still had an awful season. It's almost like they're not bothered whether they even win it, where we're going to be obsessed.
No, they're bothered.
Are they? Because it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. Oh, it's massive.
Well, it feels like to me that Tottenham are obsessed with winning.
I feel a bit sick about it, honestly, that it's that important to United. I don't feel comfortable with it.
But it's important because of it's the Champions League football. For us, it's important because we're going to win a European trophy.
You're right. There's a different element to it, maybe, because of the fact of the consequence of not winning it with United and what that would do to the manager at the start of next season in the recruitment. But that adds to the fact that you do also. The fans want to go to win a trophy. The fans want to win a trophy. I mean,
no one's talking like that.
No, I know, but they understand also the consequence of not winning it is important.
Yeah, I think our drive to win it for the sake of doing it, not because there's Champions League football, will get us over the line.
I hope so, Flav. I'm with you. As most people, put your hands up who you want to win the Europa League final. Who wants Tottenham to win the Europa League final?
Oh, brilliant.
Why does the hand up there?
Europa League final, it's a big problem. It's a big problem, because he's going to end up with the same players as next season. Because what United can't afford to do is spend 50 to 100 million, which is probably what they've got, and then be able to subsidise the losses of Rashford, Sancho, Casemiro. There's one more. Anthony. So you're going to have to basically subsidise probably another 25, 30, 40 million in their wages, because there's no way. He doesn't want them. He won't want them next season, but they're going to have to pay for probably most of them.
That's going to be the hardest part of his job, is getting rid of people.
And that's what I think he was saying by being brave. I think he was alluding to, you're going to have to back me, and that means spending tens of millions to get rid of the players that you've signed previously, and then bring in another tens of millions of players to actually, give him what he wants. And he's already identifying that he's under pressure. That's what I like about him. He will be under pressure in September, October, November if the same results are coming. He will be. There's no getting away from it, because it's that bad. We've almost forgotten about it. And being honest, from what he picked up from where we were, he should have done better, and the players should have done better in the last part of this season. I mean, no one expected the dramatic drop that's happened. You can't say that he shouldn't have done better, but because he's spoken with such honesty, and that we know the recruitment in the club's been abhorrent in the last 3, 4, 5 years. But I thought last summer when they signed those players, when they signed De Ligt, they signed, obviously those Xerxes, Agate, I'm trying to think of else. Yoro. I actually thought, something? This should be a team that go and qualify for Champions League this year. I think most of us thought Manchester United would finish in the Champions League. I think maybe even you had them in the Champions League places. What's happened? I have no idea. I have no idea what's happening there in respect of on the pitch, in the dressing room, but he needs to wipe them out. It's got to the point now whereby, other than...
How can he, if he... Say you don't win you lose the Europa League final, there's not that money, you still need players to play.
You talk about 8 to 10 players have to go. They has to get them out.
But they can only do that if they're in the Champions League. Is that what you're saying?
There's 3 or 4 players who will leave through being out of contract. So there's 3 or 4 players just naturally will leave. And then he needs to get 5 or 6 out. And they're going to need to pay to get them out. big money. They pay. Do you think Rashford's wages now will be paid half by Manchester United? So that's 180 grand a week. That's £8 million a year. He's been paid by United.
I read something the other day, Adam. You might know that. I know it was in the paper, but it was. They said Casemiro's wages would go up from 350.
No,
is that rubbish?
No,
if they qualify for the Champions
League. If they're not in the
League.
Champions League, the players' wages come down by 20-25%.
No, but they're not in the Champions League. What they were saying was if they get in it, his wages go up to
they've come down this year and they go back up next year.
Come back down this year, they'll go back up 20-25%. Yeah.
Wow. You got to look at the squad though, and I do think, whilst I don't think the position is acceptable where we are, to say that the team is ready for a manager to kind of take and just, fire at the league, I think is mental. When you look at the squad, like we've got a striker that couldn't hit a barn door, no backup for him. You've got a goalkeeper that I don't think he trusts. Most of our centre-halves are picking up injuries left, right and centre. And then I went early on in September and I'm kind of going back to where I was with Manuel Ugarte. I just don't think he's good enough. And the ball again, you were
Gary Neville has slammed Manchester United by claiming just any star gets in a combined 11 with Tottenham. The two Premier League rivals go head-to-head in the Europa League Final later this month. Not only does it represent a golden chance for each side to secure silverware, it also gives the teams an opportunity to seal a Champions League place. That would be particularly important given the rotten seasons that both United and Spurs have been enduring. United sit 16th with just 10 wins and 39 points throughout the campaign, while the North London side are 1 point and a place lower after 20 league losses. Despite that, United icon Neville believes Spurs would dominate when it comes to selecting the best players in each side, only Portuguese playmaker Bruno Fernandes earning a spot for the Red Devils. Speaking on the overlap, he said, "I've genuinely got a sickly feeling about this game next Wednesday. The biggest reason is when I look at every single player in the Tottenham team. When you look at Dejan Kulusevski, Son Heung-min, Brennan Johnson, Dominic Solanke, if James Maddison was there, Yves Bissouma and Pape Matar, Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven, Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie. When you look at those players, like for like with United's, only Bruno Fernandes would get into the first 11 of Spurs. I would select every single Tottenham player. The goalkeeper is a 50-50 split because I don't like Guglielmo Vicario and am not a fan of Andre Onana. Honestly, Udogie, Porro, Van der Ven, Romero, Bissouma, Sarr, Johnson, Maddison, Solanke, Kulusevski, Son, I would choose every single player of Tottenham's over Manchester United's next Wednesday. That's my worry. The one thing that keeps me alive, the likes of a Casemiro, a Bruno, they've got something in them that will step up for a one-off game. That means I think that we'll win. But if the players play as they should do, pound for pound, Tottenham should win that game. Both Spurs and Man United have a Premier League game to play out ahead of the Europa League Final in Bilbao on next week. United take on Chelsea on Friday evening, with Spurs in action on the